Those of you who follow my channel know that this is my Audi A8 long 50 TDI 3-liter diesel, and basically it's my current daily driver. Today I wanted to do a little follow-up because I've already driven 20,000 kilometers in this car since I bought it, and I thought you might want to see the things that annoy me about it, and on the other hand, the things I really enjoy. I'll probably start by telling you what actually annoys me about this car. And before we get started, here's a disclaimer for all the absolute idiots who are going to comment, why did you buy a car like this if you have issues with these things? Welcome to YouTube. This is a format where you talk about the things you like and the things you don't like. I know most of you get it, but there's always some guy from up in Owersville who just has to leave a comment like that. So let's start with the negative things, which might seem like total nonsense because a lot of them really are nonsense, say so. We can work our way up to the things I actually enjoy about this car. I'll probably start with how the car drives. And I don't want it to sound like the car drives badly. For some incomprehensible reason, Audi has an incredibly sluggish throttle response when you have the transmission set to regular drive. The transmission often doesn't know what to do when you step on the gas. There's a huge lag before anything happens. And then you get this unpleasant jolt. After a while, you learn how to work with it and figure out how to press the gas at the start so that the car begins to respond and listens to you the way it should. But I actually noticed this already when I first drove my friend's Audi A8, which has exactly the same engine. And I remember it really annoyed me. He mentioned something about it being due to emissions and that it can be reprogrammed so the throttle response is a bit better than the default setting. Because when you're driving and you press the gas pedal, nothing happens for about 3 seconds. And only then does it actually start to respond. And if you don't know how to hold the gas pedal properly, you get an unpleasant jerk. Especially in the city and at lower speeds, this is really unpleasant, and I don't understand why it would be like that. There's a simple solution for this. Just keep the transmission in sport mode all the time. As soon as you have the transmission set to sport, it's absolutely fine. It has the right response when you press the accelerator, the car goes. The delay from pressing the pedal is basically minimized to almost nothing, and you can drive in sport mode almost all the time. Because even when you're on the highway driving at a constant speed, both drive and sport keep the same RP miss. Even when you're in sport mode, the throttle response is much better. So I absolutely don't understand any reason why anyone would ever use drive. It's terrible, it's slow, and if you want to save half a liter of fuel per 100 kilometers, then you shouldn't be buying a car that costs 4 million new. Hopefully not. But we'll get to the driving in the positive part of the video, which will come a bit later. The second thing might sound like absolute nonsense, but it's absolutely terrible. And that's the rear center armrest. Whenever someone is sitting there, most often it's Radek when I'm driving in while he's actively vaping, he tends to carefully lean on it so he can clearly observe both of us. But I've never in my life heard a center armrest creak more. It's awful. In such an expensive premium car, it just feels incredibly cheap because right now we're going 110, it's absolutely silent in here. I could whisper to you here and you'd hear me perfectly. And the moment someone is sitting in the back, that armrest just creaks like crazy. Even in a car this newly, it's brutal. Do you see right there with his vape? How he's walking and so he can see us, he does this. It's like cheap Chinese plastic from a market. It's terrible. Meanwhile, everything else here actually feels pretty solid. Even this console here, it doesn't make any noise at all. But this thing, I don't think there's anything you can do about it. You just can't dampen it. If there was a full center console here, it would be fine because I think that would be fixed in place and this wouldn't happen. But here, unfortunately, it's just a compromise because it has to be foldable. Here, it's heated. Here's the display. Here are the controls. You have to run cables through it. Everything has to move, but it's a shame. It just feels a bit cheap on a car that originally cost over 4 million. This whole problem could have been solved with one thing, and that's if I had bought the 4-seat configuration, which has a fixed center console in the back, and I assume that one doesn't creak. And on top of that, you can even have little tables there, which is something I really wanted. So what's next on the list? Yes, it's these two displays I have in front of me. Even though I'm a fan of technology, I hate it when car manufacturers replace buttons with screens at all costs. I always have to carry a microfiber cloth in the car, which I keep in the glove compartment, and I'm just constantly wiping, just constantly polishing. You take the car straight from detailing, and the very day you pick it up, all of this is already smudged from the oils on your hands. No matter how well you wash your hands or whatever, there will always be fingerprints, and I just love to torture myself with this. The glossy piano black finish that's everywhere isn't much better, but honestly, I really like this and I prefer it over wood or anything else. In my opinion, it's the least practical material you can put in a car. I really like it, but honestly, when it comes to maintenance, it's the worst thing you could want because it's an absolute nightmare to keep it clean. Like the display is already covered in fingerprints just now. I only tapped it a few times. This is what happens after a 100-kilometer drive if you change the song a few times. Look at this, just look at it. Yeah, you press it, and it just gets dirty. So here I have a cloth, you take it, you wipe it down, and by the time you start the car and want to adjust, I don't know, your phone, navigation, maybe you want to pull up your call list, favorites, change the temperature a few times, and when you turn off the engine, it's dirty again. It's a never-ending battle. This really is a never-ending battle, and it's a disease of car manufacturers who do this. Maybe a lot of you would expect that what would bother me most about this car is parking. But in reality, that's not the case at all, because parking is totally fine. Even though the car is 5.3 meters long, you can still park it relatively easily. Sometimes you might stick out of the parking spot a bit and you can't always park parallel because it's just too big, but I wouldn't really count that among the negative aspects of this car that actually bother me. I didn't have the television unlocked so I could watch it while driving. Of course, not as the driver, you know what I mean, but as a passenger. And for some reason, when you're going over 60 kilometers per hour, unfortunately, it just doesn't pick up the signal. I'm not going to count that because honestly, that's just silly. I'm really just trying to find something about this car that bothers me, so we won't count this. This is probably the car with the least emotion out of all the cars I've ever owned. And maybe a lot of you will say, it's a diesel limousine, it's not supposed to have any emotion. There are diesel cars that can have emotion. Both of my pianos are diesel cars, and those cars have character, they have emotion. This is just an incredibly cold car. Even the interior isn't something you call a design masterpiece. Everything feels cold, it's made with the sole purpose of functioning. You never really get any true driving pleasure. Maybe if it were an S8, it might be more interesting. I always want what I don't have. So if I bought an S8, I'd probably end up complaining about how annoying it is to have an 8-cylinder petrol car as a daily, that it has too much emotion and drives too fast. I just remembered one last thing that bothers me about this car. I had to move to the back seat again to realize it. You have a car with a fridge that can fit wine, champagne, or any similar bottle. You have a fridge with 2 cooling levels depending on the type of wine you're chilling, but the moment you open the wine, there's nowhere to put it. And that's a really crucial thing. And I'm actually being completely serious here because even though I bought the car mainly because I drive it most of the time, in those 20% of cases when I don't have to drive, I enjoy the back seats to the fullest. Every time I'm lying down, I've already gone home from parties or whatever so many times, when I hired a driver to take me and I could just sleep peacefully for an hour or two. Or maybe I wanted to open a bottle with someone in the back and there's nowhere to put it. You just have to hold it between your legs, so you end up with a cold bottle you have to keep between your knees. It doesn't even fit in the door because a big bottle just won't fit there, whether it's champagne, Prosecco, or anything else. And that's a huge downside, and I just don't get what they were thinking. I know that most people who have those fridges in the back of limousines don't actually use them, but I would really want to use it. And this really annoys me. Unfortunately, there's only one solution for this, and that's to buy screw cap wine, because you can pour yourself a glass, screw the cap back on, and put it back. Wine that has an open and closed stopper, because honestly, what else are you supposed to do with it? I mean, you're not going to put it in the cup holder. There really should be something here where you can put it, or just print something on a 3D printer. A small bottle like this isn't a problem, because theoretically you can put it here, but still, if it doesn't have a cap, you don't want to have a bottle like this. It's just one big break, and the wine ends up on the floor, and you really don't want wine on the floor in your car, because it really stinks. Like, it stinks a lot. But let's move on to the things about this car that I really enjoy. I've driven over 20,000 kilometers with this car, and even though there are a few little things that annoy me, the positives definitely outweigh them. I'd probably start by saying that the suspension this car has is absolutely fantastic. When it's set to comfort, it smooths out every single bump you see on the road. I put bigger wheels on it. They're 21s with low profile tires, and even so, the car still manages to be beautifully comfortable and smooth. But I don't want to praise the suspension just in terms of comfort. Even though I said that this car doesn't really have any emotion, it's still a highway cruiser. I honestly sometimes feel like I'm in an airplane, because when we, for example, driving to Germany, heading somewhere with no speed limits, this is a car you can drive at 250 kilometers per hour absolutely comfortably. And you can really feel the difference between the comfort and sport suspension settings. When you switch to sport mode, it really settles down. It feels much more stable. And on the highway, you can smoothly cruise at around 250 kilometers per hour. And it's absolutely precise. You never get the sense that the car is understeering or leaning too much. It's really good. This is something that made me really happy. In general, traveling long distances in this car at high speeds is absolutely fantastic. As I already mentioned about the suspension, the car doesn't have the slightest problem. It's confident. After we flushed the ECU and gave it a bit more power, I think it's even a bit quicker now. The fastest we've driven this car is probably around 280, but the real comfortable cruising speed is between 200 and 250. At that speed, you feel no stress, you trust the car and you trust your own abilities. Of course, this only happens in places where it's legal. Another positive is the seats in general. In the front, you have massage and cooling functions. In the back, there's massage but no cooling, which is actually something I kind of regret. On the other hand, in the back, you can recline the seat, which is absolutely fantastic. I've spent so many hours sleeping in this car when I had the chance to be driven around. Honestly, I don't even think it should be legal to sleep this comfortably in the back seats of a car. And I really enjoyed it. Seriously, for example, the last time we were at an event, it was in BRNO. I didn't want to sleep there because I had work the next day. So I arranged for a driver and got 2 hours of sleep on the way home. I got some rest, slept at home, and the next day I was fresh simply because I got 2 extra hours of sleep. And that's just absolutely awesome. And in a regular car, this just isn't possible because the acoustic comfort you have here is amazing. I definitely have to praise the headlights as well because this is by far the car with the best lights of any car I've ever owned. They shine beautifully. They cut out all the other cars so you don't dazzle anyone. Unfortunately, you still dazzle a little bit because it's not a completely perfect system, but as the driver, you have the greatest comfort and maximum safety. Combined with the night vision, which actually highlights people, animals, and so on in little squares. It can even flash directly at unlit pedestrians. So when you're driving through a village and there's an unmarked pedestrian coming towards you, it just flashes a beam at them, but only at them. So it basically highlights their figure and you can see them. And I think this is one of the best safety features I've ever had in a car, because this is something that can actually save lives. None of that lane assist and all that crap that just annoys you. This is really good. We shouldn't even be talking about pros and cons because there are too many pros to fit in here. I could talk about a million other things here. The sound, the amazing sound. You get an absolutely incredible audio experience. It sounds really great and I enjoy it. Honestly, I don't even mind that the car has no emotion or engine sound because I can fully enjoy the sound from these speakers. I listen to music here often and I really enjoy it. That's another one of its features. You can always plug in a Vrooma and you can always plug in a Vrooma. That's true, and then your car can sound like a space shuttle if you want. Otherwise, everything's good. I don't know what to say. It has plenty of storage spaces, so I have somewhere to put my sunglasses. No, it's nice. I mean, sure, I'm starting to get a little bored with it because I'm an idiot and a car only keeps me entertained for about half a year to a year and then I want to sell it. But I told myself I'd keep this car for a longer time. The original plan was 3 to 4 years. Now, I know it definitely won't be 3 to 4 years, but I'll try to keep it for at least 2 years. That just seems fair to me. I just don't want to buy another car. I don't want to go through picking and dealing with it all over again, but it's good. Like, I don't even know what I'd buy instead. There's just no budget for a Rolls Royce for now. Okay, the very last bonus thing that I want to mention at the very end of this discussion, which absolutely and utterly annoys me to no end and truly seems like the biggest, most egregious scam imaginable, is the reliance on the phone application. If you, as a car owner, desire to access and utilize all of the advanced and integrated features that this particular vehicle offers, it astonishingly costs something in the range of $7,000 or even $8,000 per year, which is an exorbitant and frankly unacceptable recurring expense. I can understand paying for navigation updates, yeah, and some kind of support that I get, but damn, paying $1,500 a year just to unlock the ability to even use the app on your phone is one thing. Another $1,000 if you want to use your Android phone to unlock and start the car. Paying that much money every month just to have an app where you can see your car and lock or unlock it remotely seems like a huge scam to me. And you still have to pay for a SIM card on top of that, because without internet, it doesn't work, right? We have this app, which is great, but just to even have this functionality, to show you the range, how much fuel you have in the tank, your AdBlue range, how many kilometers you've driven, whether the doors are open or closed and so on, or to remotely lock, unlock, or control the independent heating, you have to go into the Audi store feature. The category is functions on demand, so the Audi Connect key is 200 crowns per month, including VAT, An Audi Connect remote and control for the Audi A8 starts at 100 crowns per month. Audi Connect navigation and infotainment for the Audi A8 starts at 457 crowns per month. So if you wanted these three things here, Audi Connect key, remote, and navigation, you'd basically be paying around 700 crowns a month just to have the app and a few extra features. If I were to give you an overall assessment, I definitely enjoy this car, and I'm sure I made a good purchase. I probably couldn't have found a better car for the money. These are my impressions after driving 20,000 kilometers. It happened faster than I expected. This year we drove a bit more, and I'm all the more glad it could be in this car because those were the most comfortable 20,000 kilometers of my life. That's probably all for today. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for the next video. Wow.